Hello, everyone. Maybe we're waiting for the others. Okay, I think they're connected. Hello, everyone. Let's start with some prayers. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. May all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be set free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the supreme happiness, which is without suffering. May they remain in the boundless equanimity, free from both attachment to close ones and rejection of others. May all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be set free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the supreme happiness, which is without suffering. And may they remain in the boundless equanimity, free from both attachment to close ones and rejection of others. May all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be set free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the supreme happiness, which is without suffering. And may they remain in the boundless equanimity, free from both attachment to close ones and rejection of others. Welcome. How are you? So, today Tulku basically talked about how Prasangika is refuting 4 ways of arising, right? So why are we doing that, or why is Prasangika doing that? Is because we all have the problem of grasping at things, right? We're grasping at ourselves or other things, and we think more or less consciously that they are reliable, that they are permanent, or that they are truly existent, basically. And that grasping at true existence is what keeps us in samsara, and therefore Prasangika are very much concerned about that, that we are not in samsara anymore, but that we can get rid of that grasping. And therefore we analyze things if they are really existent or not, if they are worthy to be grasped at or not. And one could analyze that they are not existent directly, but here that argument is more using like the genesis, like where do things come from? That's what we often ask, right? Where is my disease coming from, or something, or where are you coming from? So we always want to know where does it come from, and so and then there are like these different possibilities how things arise or how things come into existence. And in Madhyamika, we always talk about these 4 ways, like that things arise from themselves, out of themselves, or that things arise from something that is totally different, totally other, or just for the sake of completeness, then also the idea is analyzed if things maybe arise from itself and other at the same time, or if things arise from neither itself nor other, but don't have any cause. So this is normally like how things are analyzed, how they arise, as I said, in order to then the spoiler alert is that none of these really work, and so therefore we come to the conclusion things don't really arise, things are not really there, and therefore things we don't need to cling to them. So we don't need to have grasping, and therefore we don't need to suffer. Does that make sense so far? Do you think there are more options than just arising from itself or others, both and neither? What do you think? No thoughts? Does it make sense for you to analyze things like that? Where do they come from? Or do you think that is an Indian thing, or? I think, or Peter, I think both of you. Yes.
I will wait. Yeah, I think it makes great sense for me in the way that you have just explained it. Why do we do this logical considerations? Yeah, because I was always thinking, you know, if it doesn't come up like this and it doesn't come up like that and not like this and not like that, then how do they originate? Yeah, and now with your explanation to say, okay, we have all this consideration in order to show that, well, in fact, they don't originate, then it makes perfect sense for me personally.
Good, thank you. And Peter?
Well, suddenly it seems so obvious and clear. And more precisely, I thank you for showing the link between the suffering via the grasping and the way to make it poof. Now yeah, that's what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, when we look into which verse is that? When we look into Bodhisattva, the 9th chapter, very much in the beginning, this link is made. I show you. Sorry, it takes so long. Here. If we look at the 9th chapter, I show you the verse. Here, the first one, actually. All these branches of the doctrine, all the relative training, the enlightened sage expounded for the sake of wisdom. So we do all the relative stuff in order to understand or realize wisdom. Therefore, they must cultivate this wisdom who wish to have an end of suffering. So that is that is Shantideva saying, you know, like if we don't see that we are suffering, or if we don't mind that we are suffering, we don't need wisdom. But if we are suffering and we want to get rid of it, then yeah, wisdom is really the main thing and the only thing that can really do it, like sort of forever. And the wisdom, yeah, in this context always refers to, yeah, maybe wisdom of understanding the true truth or realizing the true truth, and part of that is, of course, realizing emptiness.
Arne?
Yes?
You also showed the second verse, which actually was very helpful for what we learned the day before yesterday.
Yes, let's
about-
show it again.
Yeah, maybe helpful.
I mean, between us, the entire chapter is super helpful. But here, relative and ultimate, the two truths are declared to be. The ultimate is not within the reach of intellect, for intellect is said to be the relative. Yeah, intellect is really like, yeah, this conceptual mind that uses expressions, measurements. Yeah, it has a dualistic approach that can, of course, not grasp and emptiness. I mean, it can understand emptiness. You know, like I used myself as an example. I think I thought of intellectually I can understand emptiness, but then that is of course only an intellectual version of emptiness, which is still relative. But the real emptiness that can only be like realized through meditation or through wisdom, but not through concepts. Birger, I think you had something.
Yeah, I had exactly the point that you just mentioned, that I said, you know, now we've understood things don't originate, so why do we not think achieve enlightenment right away now?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that is exactly, you've explained it.
Yeah. And yeah, and it just takes like in Mahayana 3 countless eons, right, to get rid of all these obscurations, so that that this understanding of emptiness is not only a conceptual understanding, but really like a transformative insight into the reality. That is basically what wisdom is doing. You know, it's transforming us and liberating us. And concepts, again, you know, Buddhism is not saying they are totally useless, but Buddhism is also not saying they are totally efficient. But in the right dosage, concepts can be used as a tool. Shall we try to go through the 4? Yeah, Martina?
Yes, okay, thank you. I have not a question, but another thinking. I'm sure that the intellect must be satisfied, and therefore to go through conceptions, they go from time to time, less and lesser, but at first they have to be satisfied that you can go on. Therefore, I can clean this and I can go on. I'm sure the conceptions of the intellect must be done. Then you feel sure and you can leave it. Okay, that's all. I'm
Yes.
hard-headed.
So the last thing I didn't hear, you were muted already. When you made this gesture.
I'm hard-headed.
Yeah, I'm hard. Yeah, yeah.
Hard-headed.
Hard-headed, yeah.
Hard-headed, eigensinnig.
But what is your doubt there? Do you have any doubt about this, or?
No, I have no doubt, but I'm sure that in the development of mankind, conceptions must be satisfied. When they are not satisfied, you're stuck in doubtness, or you're stuck in unconsciousness.
Unconsciousness?
Yeah.
Yes, I think that is maybe what Rinpoche yesterday mentioned about decision. You know, we make a decision at some point, you know, or we have to have certainty at some point. So yes, we analyze, like here, you know, we analyze the reality, what is real, what is not, what is reliable, what is not. Or we analyze our teachers and or our main teacher, and then that is good, and that is or we analyze Buddha's teaching in general. So we are always encouraged to do all these analytical things, but then, yeah, at some point, enough is enough, sort of. Then we have to come to a decision, you know, or how you, I think, put it. Then at some point, the intellectual mind or the concepts need to be satisfied, you know. Then, yeah, it's enough, you know. And then we can have certainty and we can have decision, and then yeah, trust in it, you know. But it goes always through hearing, reflection, and then meditation, and then, yeah, we have the result. Okay. Anything else? Otherwise, we would maybe go through the 4 ways how things could arise or could be caused that Longchen mentioned.
Maybe I have a question. In the teachings this morning, also in the text, there is referred to these 5 logics.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember them. Could anyone be so kind?
We have them somewhere in the text. Can somebody find them?
Page 108, it starts.
Oh, that was easy.
Right.
Good. Yeah, 5 major lines of reasoning.
I don't know how it's for you and for the others, but for me, that's still a little bit blurry. Even how it starts, 5 major lines, and when I'm 4 models, then I get stuck already. But I hope I do not bother you with my stuckness.
No. And when I'm laughing, you know, I hope everybody knows that I'm never laughing at somebody.
No, I know.
I'm just
Thank you.
how you put it, you know. I think that is not something that is yeah, easily understood actually. So therefore, yes, I guess you're not alone. And also the thing is, there are always so different names of these reasons that makes it also a little bit confusing. But let's have a look, because what we are doing, what Rinpoche was doing today was like finding out, yeah, analyzing if things arise or not, and that is actually one of them. That is like this, what is called diamond shred or something here, no? Sometimes diamond splinter or Vajra sliver argument. Okay, let's have a look. I just share maybe this page here, since we are all online. So this is what Peter found. So we have 5 major lines of reasoning. That is true for all Madhyamikas. They use 5 arguments, you know, how to establish that things are empty. And for example, Shantideva in the 9th chapter, he's only using 2 or 3 of them, and other texts use all 5. But they always aim at the same thing, you know, to show that things are empty. So these 5. So if we read it to determine that there is no origination or arising, abiding, we can include, or cessation, and so forth on the ultimate level. That is always important to have in mind. Svatantrikas use 5 major lines of reasoning that they consider to be definite. So that is the thing, you know, like on the ultimate level. But Birger and I earlier talked about, you know, that things are what we learned today. Longchen is showing us that things are not arising from itself, both and neither. So the things don't arise, you know, actually. That is the result. But this is ultimate analysis, because as you remember, Longchen concluded today, but on the relative level, things merely appear, you know. So on the relative level, we have arising in the sense of things arise because of causes and conditions on a relative level, just as a mere appearance. So, and these 5 can be understood to conform to 4 models. Yeah, let's forget about that, because one can combine 2 of them. The argument known as Longchen Shedra is a refutation that examined the cause of any object to be refuted. So that is what we did today. So we look at an object and we want to understand its cause, is it like, we always look like, oh, is it made in Thailand or is it made in whatever, we always want to know the origin. And that was also, in the Bible, the Genesis chapter is also like the origin of things, And we always want to know the origin of ignorance or stuff, or first of all, the origin of samsara, which is ignorance. And then we often wonder, what is the origin of ignorance? So we always want to find the cause. And in these 4, we have discussed today these 4 options, how things could be caused. Yes?
Just to be sure, so these 4 are parallel with that plus, minus, plus, plus, minus, minus from this model. Is it?
What? Plus, minus, minus, plus, plus, minus, minus?
No, excuse me. Self plus, the other minus, both plus, plus, or neither, minus, minus. That's how
Interesting. Are you a physicist secretly?
No. But just but my question was whether that is parallel with these 4 models.
No, 4 models is a way to classify these 5 major reasonings of Madhyamika into 4 by putting 2 together.
Okay, thank you.
Don't be confused with the number 4 and 5. It's normally it's 5 Madhyamika reasonings, and they are also listed like that. Yes, and the first Madhyamika reasoning is to refute that things arise truly. So, and let's look into that first, because that is what was today's teaching, and then we come back to the other Madhyamika arguments. So the text is, and I was a little bit late today because I didn't put the alarm, so I didn't actually listen yet to the first half an hour of Rinpoche's teaching. So therefore I'm also countering you, but without going into like the real much details, of the Samkhya school, which is mentioned there. What do you remember, just like from your memory, or what is your understanding of why Prasangika is saying that arising from itself is not possible, that a thing cannot arise from itself? The Samkhya, a very old Hindu school, is apparently having that view, that they say things arise from themselves, They have like a primordial substance and everything is arising from there and is already in it, sort of. It's super simplified. But what do you remember about this debate? Do you remember anything? I'm happy that Peter is active. I would be also happy if others would be also active. So just Cecilia.
Yeah, the refutation is that if something is already there, then actually there's no need for it to arise because it should have been there.
Yeah, it's really that simple. Yeah, like many teachers, I heard them say like Madhyamika is actually not so difficult. It's sometimes we are too complicated. Yes, so if it's already there, no need to arise again, right? That is what Cecilia is saying. Would be sort of meaningless, or and it would not be actually arising because it's already there. In case you're interested, Buddha Palita was more like focusing on the argument that it's meaningless, and Chandrakirti more on the point that it's that it's not really arising because it's already there, but it doesn't matter. But both are prasangika, so both are not contradictory. And also some other consequences could be also that it's endless. You know, if like something arises out of itself, it could continue to arise. You know, there's not really like something that could stop it. Mm. Yeah, thank you, Cecilia. Does anybody wants to add or ask something about this particular way of how Longchen or Prasangika is dealing with people who think things arise from themselves? I don't know if you have an example in the modern world, something arising from itself. It's not really what we usually think, I think. Or maybe we think, I don't know, that's how I am, you know? Kerstin is always complaining, Anna, you are so grumpy. And then I say, that's how I am, you know, that's, you know, I don't know, maybe something like that, you know, that we think. Mm. Peter, what did you want to say? Oh, Kerstin, yes. Oh, now she's complaining again.
Yes, I'm going to complain because I'm going to say I'm very slow in my mind right now and I cannot come up with an example. Sorry, Anne. So please, Peter, go ahead. Save the day.
Let's make some fun. It's all about words here. And so I liked very much that Tuku said, well, actually, it's quite funny. We make a lot of fuss about it, but when it is already there, why should it reproduce itself?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what Cecilia also said. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's really what I want all of us to remember, you know, like without getting into the details of why a Hindu school is thinking like that, but just that as argument, you know, if it's already there and then produce itself, doesn't make any sense, you know. Okay, I think that is hopefully clear. And now the other thing, and if you study Madhyamika Avatara by Shantakirti, that is a huge topic where arising from something other is refuted, because that is not only what I think, that is sort of when I joined the Zoom, when what Tuku said, it's not like a super profound philosophy, it's what we think, you know, like, sorry, I use Kerstin again today when I say, Kerstin makes me grumpy, you know. So she is the cause, you know, and she's other than me, you know, or, you know, it's your fault, you know, the blaming game that we always do. Or in Christianity we have the God, you know. Maybe, I don't know if Christianity would think that the God, it comes from it himself, if that is like the first arising. Maybe I don't know exactly how they say where God is coming from, but they say God created the world, right? So God is something other and the world is something other. Yeah, so God is one thing, world is something other. So that is like I think in Western philosophy, it's called like substance dualism, you know? It's two different things, you know, in which we live. And the other Buddhist schools also say that, you know, like Vaibhashika is saying, yes, we have, like, say, the atoms, the smallest particles, and they are other, and they create the big table, you know. Or Yogacara is saying, yes, we have the mind, and it is creating something other, which is the external phenomena. So therefore, that is it is a very common thing. What how Turku put it also, and the examples that I used with Kerstin, you know, it's a common thing that we blame somebody else. or that we think something arises from other when we say, yeah, I planted the tree is an example by Shantakirti, or I made that child, you know, the child is something other than me, but I made it, you know. So that is a common thing, but it's also like in many religions and also in Buddhist traditions, we have this arising from other that Prasangika is not happy with. Does anybody remember how Prasangika or Longchen here is tackling that? Again, there's so many debates, but sort of the main points maybe we can try to find. Actually, yeah, no, here in Longchenpa's text it's quite short. That's good. What is here the main point with the fire and the darkness? Do you remember? Birger, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and that is a point where I have huge problems in understanding it. Yeah, because to me, it makes no sense at all how it is explained. And I would bet if we go to the street and show this sentence to 100 people, they would also say it makes no sense.
Oh, this is so good. That reminds me of something. I have to say that first. Can I? Sorry.
Yes.
This is so good because I was in Nepal, February, March, and we studied Mula Madhyamika Karika there. Teacher was Thomas Doctor. I don't know if you have heard of him. He's a big translator also and teaches that Madhyamikas in 30 years in Rangjung Geshe. And he was, yeah, talking about that a lot, that this is not something that you ask in a family dinner, you know, or that you ask on the street, you know, it's not, that sounds very weird, you know, like you will be the weirdo, you know, in the family dinner, basically, if you start to ask these questions, you know, am I arising from myself or other and stuff, you know, and so basically he said, these are weird questions, yes, but these questions make only sense if you have the right context for them, sort of, you know. And so he was going into the importance of a sangha, a Buddhist community, and also that you have a realized teacher with you, you know, talking about these things. Then it makes sense, because otherwise they sound very weird and way too far away from reality. But if you have a living, breathing Buddhist master sort of with you, who's teaching you this, you know, then sort of you see his or her sanity, you know, and also like us followers, you know, of such a teacher, and so we also see our sanity, hopefully, and then in that context, sort of, then it makes sense to ask these things. Yes, sorry, but that, yeah, I just wanted to share that.
Yeah.
He put it much more nicely, but yes.
Yeah, it fitted perfectly, and it also, you know, I didn't mean it literally when I say let's go to the street, because we are also mindful of the vow that many of us have taken, not to teach emptiness to those who are not ready for it. But still, I come back to the
yes,
things are produced from other things.
Yes,
if
that is the question.
Things are produced from other things. Surely the logical conclusion is that flames can produce darkness. And this is just following standard Occidental Western logic, a wrong statement. Just by saying that things are produced by other things does not mean that anything is produced by any other thing. Yeah. So that is where I'm stuck here. Still, you know, flames cannot produce darkness, but flames produce light.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So of course, some things cannot produce certain other things, but it does not rule out that these same things could produce certain things. And that is actually in the entrance into the middle way is the same thing. If something is produced by a reliance on something else, pitch black darkness could come about from tongues of flame. And again, using Western logic, I don't see that that is a strong argument. That's where I'm blocked.
Yes, thank you. What I earlier said, yeah, I didn't use the word, but yeah, being critical is great. And really, the thing is, and again, quoting Thomas Doctor there, we should not give in, like easily, just because Nagarjuna is saying it or Longchen Shedra is saying it, and we just buy it, But really, like, he was always asking us to be super critical and really check with what we think and what makes sense for us personally, and then make it an internal journey and really internal debate, with our own view, so we have to be very honest and serious about it, what we really think, and not just say, oh yeah, Longchen Shedra is saying it, therefore it must be right, So I'm sort of praising Birger by being critical, so and I'm doing this by quoting Thomas Doctor. So I think that's really good, to because we could study Madhyamika very much like something out there, like we understand, Buddha Palita said that, Bhavi Viveka that, and Shantakirti that, and yeah, it's sort of logical, but we have to apply it to what we really think. We always have to, whatever is refuted in a Madhyamika text, we always have to think, yeah, what do I really think? What is really my view? Am I maybe, do I have the view that is refuted, or do I have the view that is refuting? Yeah, we really have to always rub it against our beliefs, and that is super important, and therefore being critical is super good. So yes, but before we before we be critical, yes, the simple logic that Longchen Shedra, so let's first look what Longchen Shedra is saying, how he is refuting it, and then yeah, then let's be critical and say that this doesn't make sense, maybe. So Longchen Shedra is basically saying, okay, if we have an apple seed and an apple, no, that doesn't make apple tree, then the apple seed is different from the apple tree, and so it's an other thing. So it's the tree is arising from something other. The seed is different from the tree. I mean, this is hopefully obvious because it looks very different size, different taste, different color. Everything is different. So, and Longchen Shedra is basically saying, okay, if a tree can arise from something that is a non-tree, then it could, then why not that a tree can arise, yeah, from everything that is not a tree? That is sort of the argument. So therefore, if and a seed is something that is a non-tree, and yeah, so from Prasangika point of view, yes, everything is then other to the tree. So so that is what they think. So the seed is other than the tree, and likewise, once we look at the word other, then everything what is not a tree can be included in other. So for him, he would say, so therefore, if you say the tree is coming from the seed and the seed is other, then why does the tree not come from something else that is other, like a car or something, but his, just saying first what Longchen Shedra is basically saying, his logic, and therefore he gives the absurd consequence. If something can arise from something other, then why not darkness can arise from something other, for example, fire? So that is the reasoning that he's using. And I just wanted to establish that first, that understanding of how he put it, and now Birger, be critical.
Yeah. I think a biologist can quickly explain you why an apple tree can come from an apple seed, but it cannot come from a pear seed or an ananas seed or a car, to be more extreme, like you said. My question would be, are we talking about ultimate truth level only, or also relative truth?
Only ultimate.
Okay, then I withdraw my criticism, yeah, because maybe that was my mental block, because I had also the question when we talk about this, when we talk about karma, then of course, you know, there are causes and things happen because of other things, but that is all on the, in my understanding, on the relative level, and it stops when we are in the ultimate level. Yeah.
Yes, and yes, it's on the relative level. Yes, and on the relative level, Shantakirti would go to the farmer and would see that the farmer is putting the seeds in the soil, and then 6 months later, whatever plant is there, and that is fine, you know, totally accepted on the relative level. But if the farmer starts, and yeah, the farmer is used by Shantakirti or cowherd, you know, somebody who's super who doesn't have a philosophy, who's not influenced by religion, culture, philosophy. So then it's totally fine, you know, to say, yes, I put a seed and I get a tree. No problem. But and it's sort of reliable. But if the farmer then goes to wherever, you know, and becomes and follows whatever religion, and they say, this is an ultimate seed, or this is a ultimate arising, or that is, or the seed is truly other than the tree, then Shantakirti or Prasangika has a problem with them. But just on a conventional level, fine, you know. But still, it's interesting. One can really think of it's still like why. What did Birger just say? Why an apple seed creates an apple tree, but not a I don't know what seed you said. Why not another seed? And that is also interesting from biology. You know, like I googled that recently. What is it called? Eichel is acorn, right? Does somebody know that? Oak tree is coming from an acorn, right? That's I think the word. Kerstin?
I think so. I think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
So basically, that was that was in the Madhyamika teaching, and I thought, since Birger was saying biology, so like it's only like if you have an acorn, only one acorn out of 10,000 becomes a tree. So 9,999 don't become an oak tree, but maybe they rot and become an important condition for an apple tree, and then be in the apple tree, you know, as in their atoms, you know, on molecules. So that is, I found that interesting. Just food for thought. But again, yeah, Longchen Shedra is really saying, okay, if something, if a tree comes from something other, like an apple seed, like a seed, then it could come, then the absurd consequence would be it could come from any other. And there's a big debate, of course, because then if we think, okay, well, what is it? Then somebody might start saying, okay, but the apple seed has a specific potential sort of to bring forth an apple tree. Or there's a specific similarity between apple seed and apple tree. And that opens so many more discussions. I just wanted to give you the hint to do that at some point. But basically, the seed is other than the tree. You know, that is like, to keep it simple. Birger, what are you thinking?
You have just phrased perfectly where my problem of understanding is. And that is, if something comes from some other thing, then that means it can come from any other thing. And this is a sentence which does somehow not fully convince me yet.
Understandably so, yes. Because you might exactly say what I just said. You know, you will say, yeah, but the apple seed is not that other, is more similar to the apple tree than the banana seed. Yeah, but still it's other, you know. Right here, I don't know. I have my favorite coasters here. Here, you know, these are like small. They look like, of course, intentionally like a what is it? Vinyl record. That is coming also from South Tantrika. So how does the mind function? You know, like it is saying. So if I hold you these 4 things, right, and I asked you, I asked Jampelamo, please give me the cup. She will give me this thing, right? She will see cup and all the non-cups, you know, and she is eliminating, her conceptual mind is eliminating all the non-cups, and so therefore she can pick out the cup. And if I say, give me the white coaster, or give me the white coaster, or the one with the white, she will eliminate everything that is not a white coaster, and a cup is not a white coaster, and also these greenish ones are not the white coaster, so they all our other things are other, you know. Even though the green coaster looks more similar to the white one, it's also different, it's other. That is sort of the base. Yeah, so yeah, basically you we do two things, you know, like first, that is how perception works, you know, according to Pramana or Tantrika, you conceptual perception, you know, you see things, and then you eliminate. So if I say give me a coaster, then first of all you eliminate all the non-coasters, the cup, for example, and now you sort of eliminate the difference of these coasters. Get it? Because each of them are different, but then in order to give me a coaster, you only have to eliminate all non-coasters, but then you eliminate all the differences between all of them, because each of them is a coaster, but each of them is unique, but you don't bother about the differences between them. So my point is, everything conceptual mind always works through elimination, and yeah, the cup is other than the white coaster, and the green coaster is also other than the white coaster, even though they look similar. In other words, yeah, everything is other from another thing. It doesn't matter how similar they look like. Sorry, that was too complicated. And therefore, yeah, and therefore for Longchen here or Prasangya, they just say, okay, if you say something can come from something other, then any other is other. so therefore, yeah, the tree can come from a car. Darkness can come from fire, which obviously on a relative level doesn't make sense. Martina was laughing. Good.
So, Arne, I'm trying to put this again into this time when meditating and
Good.
analyzing what is going on in my mind. And at that point, you know, there is this theoretical idea of other from other from other from other that might be helpful, or that, you know, is worth trying to see if I can liberate anything that I'm holding on to and grasping still. You know, I would give it a try, even if I right now maybe not able to understand it or completely on the intellectual level. I would give it a try during meditation and see if it is helpful to liberate something that I'm grasping to, and at that moment. So that's what's kind of came to my
Yes.
mind now.
Yeah, and I think that's how to do it. Yes.
Because in the end, you know, it seems to be a lot of like mind games, you could say, you know, intellectual mind games, thinking of it non-arisen, arisen, other, both, neither, up, down, left, right, you know. But there is a reason why Longchen came up with this, or that these people, these teachers, you know, wrote it down. And I will try. I'm willing to try, you know,
Yes.
and see if it gives me the, you know, aha moment.
Yeah, that is always the only aim. Yes, the aha moment, the insight, fresh understanding. Yes.
Yes.
And
So thanks for trying to explain it, or, you know, explaining it, and, you know, my mind not being able to really get there yet. But, you know, thank you, Arne.
and but yeah, the aim is exactly that was in the concluding verses of this chapter today, right? Or not the aim, but so yeah, the aim is to remove. So we have all these intellectual things and concepts and logic to remove wrong views, basically. And we all have wrong views, and sometimes some Rinpoches they talk about people, for example, who did like 3 years retreat in Buddhism, you know, and like long-term Buddhists, and then when they die, so in a weak moment, they suddenly have so much regret, you know. Suddenly they become very theistic and think of God, you know, God being now the savior when they die, you know, and they regret so much what they did, you know, the 20 years of Buddhism, let's say. And so that is the point, you know, we all have very different or very strange views, sometimes quite hidden and very wrong views. And we are just not this innocent farmer who just puts the seed in the ground and gets a plant later. But we have very complicated belief systems, and yeah, we have to tackle them. We have to know them and tackle them, and that is important, because otherwise, yeah, this can happen, like in a weak moment of sickness or nearly plane crash or real plane crash. And the thing is that was coming in the conclusion of this chapter, that wrong views can be always be tackled, you know, but if you have no view or no position, I think, you know, which means no clinging to a specific thing, you know, then that is untackable. That can never be contradicted. But actually, Nagarjuna is saying then whatever argument the opponent brings to you, if you sort of have the correct view, then that argument actually enhances your view and can never contradict it. And so that is the beauty. And yeah, we have wrong views, that is the point, yeah. And we have complex wrong views, and therefore we need complex antidotes. Okay, just for the sake of completeness, let's look at the other two options, like both. So from Buddhist logic, they say like arising from self didn't make sense. Oh yeah, no, sorry. I just wanted to give you the classical argument also against arising from something other, which means which is the following. So I think we all accept that cause comes first and then comes the result. And so this is from Shantakirti and Buddha Palita, for example, or Nagarjuna. So we think cause comes first and then comes the result. So they exist in different times. So the apple seed, the cause, exists now, let's say, and the tree or the plant or the sprout exists like in a few months. So it's a different time from cause into result. And therefore, since they don't exist at the same time, you cannot even say that they are other. That is the argument. So if these are existing at the same time here now, you can compare them and you can say they are other. But if I show this at the first time and then show this at the second time and then show this at the third time, which actually were 3 now, yeah, it's difficult to know if it's other or not, you know. It's impossible to know. That's the Buddhist logic. You have to have things at the same time in order to say they are other. And since we all agree cause and effect are not at the same time, therefore, cause and effect cannot be established to be other. That is a classical argument, which is not here in Longchen Shedра's text, but in all the Indian classic Madhyamaka texts. Okay, so and then arising from both self and other, you know, that it arises. It's not so bad, the idea, you know, like for example, my body that I have now, you know, I can say it's a mixture, you know, from the body that I had yesterday. So it's continuity. It's like arising from the self, but then also it arises from other because there are other influences also that shape my body, how it is today. Let's say the food or the drink and so on. So therefore, maybe it's a combination that things arise. You know, my today's body arises because of itself, my body, and other things. You know, it's not so weird. It's actually like seems like interdependence. But on the absolute level, yeah, that doesn't make sense. And for Madhyamaka, again, the logic is we have already refuted arising from self, so that had mistakes that Cecilia and Peter were mentioning, and we had arising from other. That was also, there were also mistakes. And if you put these two together, it's not that the mistakes balance each other out, but you actually have like all 4 or all 2 mistakes, you know, like so they're adding up, you know, if you think of arising from both self and other. Does that make sense? Like, yeah, if you put 2 wrong views together, they're not becoming one right view. So like it's not, Peter didn't say that, you know, but since Peter said with a minus and plus, you know, like minus multiplied with minus becomes plus, but that is not the case here. He used plus, and so it's like, and it's yeah, plus in the sense of the flaws, they add up, you know, if you put 2 wrong views together. Okay, and the last one is basically, yeah, actually, who wants to talk about the last one? Maybe you remember. Again, there is mention of the Shavaka school. Don't mistake that with the Shravakas, the Buddhist school, right? This is a very different spelling. I just put both in the chat. Not even finding here now. So many quotations today. Here, Shavaka. Shavaka is like a, let's say it's a hedonist Hindu school. And then we have Shravaka is foundational Buddhist school. Hinayana, sort of. Yeah, just that you sometimes it sounds so similar if they are pronounced. Totally different things. And here in the fourth option of arising, the Hinduist Shavaka school is mentioned. But yeah, what do you remember about this fourth way of arising? And again, we don't need so much details, but just look, what was the essential debate there?
I just know some parts from it. I remember the lotus flower in the sky. Shravaka say they do not.
Yeah.
Shravaka say they do not exist. It does not exist, and there is no existence. I only know a little part from it.
Yes, yeah, they use that as an example, yes, of things not being produced. Yes.
And so these flowers do not have a fragrance, and they can't have a color. And then the Prasangika refutation or view might say that, this is not applicable because we do see things and we do have a variety of smells and colors and forms and shapes. So that can't be right. Something like that.
Yeah, and yeah, nearly just half a sentence missing. So and what does it imply that we have a variety of shapes and colors in the world?
What does it imply?
Yeah, in the debate.
So that that there are causes and conditions,
Yes.
in a way.
Exactly. Because that is what Shavaka, as an example, is saying. There are no causes and conditions. So they talk about uncaused arising. Things just randomly appear, basically, they say. And then Prasangika is saying, no, specific results have specific causes, like what Kerstin said, different colors of a feather or color of a flower, or different sizes of feather and flower. There's so many different details, and they all have their specific causes. So that is sort of used to refute the idea of uncaused arising. And yeah, it would be a total chaos, if things would be uncaused. They just randomly could appear, suddenly I could have an elephant on my table, why not? And yeah, when then Prasangikas visit the farmer, if the farmer would now follow a religion that thinks of things arising uncaused, then he would not need to plant the seeds, anymore. He would just get the plants, just like that, So, but that is obviously not working. So uncaused arising is obviously, yeah, it's not observable, in the world by the cowboys or the farmers. And yeah, yeah, maybe if you do like lottery, that it's not really like the same, but it sometimes feels like, yeah, one wants to be rich without a cause, without working. That can work, of course, because if you have the karma for it. But so there is a cause, if you win the lottery. So that was just a very like crude example. Or maybe here could be the example of I'm just grumpy, you know, there is no cause for it, you know. I'm just in a bad mood. But then, yeah, Buddhists say, yeah, on the ultimate level, there is no true cause, there is no true arising, neither from self, both, self, other, both, and neither. But yeah, on a relative level, yeah, all things appear because of a gathering of so many causes and conditions, and all these, whatever cause or condition you single out of this multitude of things, you know, like each cause or each condition also has so many other causes and conditions, you know. So it's like, I think Turko said that a couple of times, you know. Did he? No, maybe not. That was another teaching. So, but so therefore, yeah, it's endless, you know, like how many causes and conditions are involved, you know, in creating one thing now, you know. I think Pato Rinpoche, in Words of My Perfect Teacher, he's like looking at a tea when he's drinking a tea. You know, what does it take that the tea leaf is in my cup, you know, and that I have a cup, you know, and water and everything. So there's, you know, just a tea leaf, you know, there's so many. I mean, he uses it in order to develop compassion, you know, because there are so many people involved and so many animals are getting killed on the way, you know, or are exploited, you know. But it's so interconnected, and there are so many causes and conditions always involved, and that's how things appear. And that oh yeah, now we have to actually go back to what with the 5 Madhyamaka reasonings. That is one of the Madhyamaka reasonings also, that things arise from so many different causes and conditions. That is the logical argument of great interdependence. That is, yeah, it's a big argument, and that shows that things don't truly exist because they're just a gathering of different parts or coming together of different factors and causes and conditions, and we just now perceive it as one thing, and we forget that it's dependent on all these different parts and different factors, and we label it as one thing, and then we solidify our idea that it's one thing. Classic example, forest, you know. We think there's a forest somewhere, but there's no forest at all, you know. You can never find a forest. You can only find trees, right? And then you will also not find a tree, because in a tree there is no tree-ness, you know. You only have branches, stem and roots and leaves and flowers, you know. So it's only just a big gathering of parts and causes and conditions. And then so you don't find a tree either, you only find parts of the tree. And then each part of the tree, let's say the leaf, okay, I'm not good in biology, but a leaf, you also don't find a leaf in the leaf, you know. There's only like parts of a leaf that are not a leaf, you know, but only parts of it, you know, and so on. And then in the end we have atoms, and then we have subatomic particles, and in the end, yeah, there is no forest. That was the first thing. And there's no tree, and there's no leaf, and there's no, I don't know, chlorophyll. Everything is just subatomic particles or emptiness in the end, you know, if you go further than scientists. And therefore there is no truly existent anything, tree. And therefore no need to grasp at anything. Yeah, and that is another argument that is called, yeah, the argument of great interdependence. And yeah, these two arguments, this Vajra shred argument that we discussed, that Turko discussed today, with the refuting the 4 ways of arising. That is a very big argument in Madhyamika. And the other one, what I was just saying, you know, that things arise because of causes and conditions. And they only arise if all the causes and conditions come together. But if one is lacking, then something else arises, you know, or nothing arises for a while. And that is, the great argument, or the argument of great interdependence. And that is also a very important argument. And I think that is also very easy to understand for like a little bit scientific mind. And it's also beautiful because it refutes both extremes, you know, like nihilism and eternalism. Because if things arise because of so many causes and conditions, so there is arising, right? There's appearing on the relative level. So that that refutes nihilism, that there is nothing at all, you know? But there is appearance. That was also said in the conclusion of this chapter today. So it refutes nihilism, but on the other hand, it is just a gathering of causes and conditions and coming together. But there is no forest, there is no tree, as I said earlier. So therefore, there is no, that it refutes eternalism, you know, that there is a truly existent forest, a truly existent tree. But things are empty by nature, you know. So on the relative level, things arise because of causes and conditions, and that refutes nihilism. And on the absolute level, things are empty by nature, and therefore that refutes eternalism. Yeah, and the other Madhyamika arguments, they're looking also like in the effect, you know, they're checking if that little bit like the arising from itself, you know, is the effect, is the result already existed in the cause or not? If it's already existed in the cause, then, as Cecilia said, it would be useless that it arises again. And if it's not existent, then from Buddhist logic, something not existent cannot become existent, you know? That is another argument. And then this neither one or many argument we also have. You know, if we, by all this, we can establish that there is not one forest, you know, then of course we cannot have 2 forests or 3 forests, you know, and that is true for everything, you know. If there's not one truly existent leaf, we cannot have many leaves. Doesn't work. Yeah, mathematically, yeah, if you don't establish that there's a truly existent one, you cannot have 1 + 1 = 2, because you don't even have the one in the first place. But yeah, these other arguments are not used so often. It's really mainly the 4 types of arising and then the interdependent origination. There's something else? If not, let's have a look what else was written in the chapter. Yeah, there was something that was very important for Rinpoche in the end, but I think that is discussed in that already, no? Yeah, so Mula Madhyamika Karika, Nagarjuna, wants that we see everything like an illusion, like a dream, right? That was a big take-home message, and that is also what we learned yesterday, how to apply the truth, the understanding of the true truth. We see everything as a dream, as an illusion. It's appearing, but it's empty. So it's there, but it's not really there, sort of this kind of paradox in which we live. It's important on one level, the relative level, but on the absolute level, nothing is so important. Or like Guru Rinpoche said, you know, the view as high as the sky, seeing the emptiness of things, and then on the absolute level, and then the action is fine and detailed and careful, like barley flour. So on the relative level, yeah, we behave, we have ethical conduct, we have compassion, and we create happiness and not suffering for others, hopefully. But there was one more thing he liked a lot today. Yeah, so the point is Prasangika never really takes a position. That is what is always said. That is from the 400 verses on page 123, 124. That was important, I think, for him to no, before that, the refutation of arguments states, I put it in the chat. Suppose I held some formal position, that means if I'm getting attached to a specific view, then I would be guilty of a flaw. So that would be always debatable, you know, because there's a grasping in it, you know, there's like a finding, you know, like in Madhyamika, we always investigate. That is good. But if we come to a conclusion, like a final conclusion, you know, like a thesis, a philosophical position, that would be always attackable. But because I hold no such position, I alone am without such a flaw. Yeah, it's like maybe it's like the Achilles, I think is the pronunciation. This Greek person, you know, like he was like I don't know, he was in whatever liquid, I forgot. So therefore he was like undestroyable, or he was like
Invincible?
Yeah, invincible, but then whatever, the feather or something flew on his heel, and then that was his weak spot, sort of, you know, and there he was conquerable. Yeah, he could be killed, you know, through that weak spot. So likewise, yeah, if we have any grasping at all, you know, that is from the Sakya teachings, yeah, then, you know, when we have any, then we don't have the view, you know, because if we have any grasping to a specific thesis, if we hold on to that, you know, then it's like this weak spot, you know, and we are always attackable. And that is, you know, if we have any reference point. So Madhyamika is really trying that we don't have any reference points, that we're not grasping at anything. It's like in a relationship, no? We can always trigger each other's buttons. And so that is, so and this is like a philosophical position, you know, this button, you know, but then yeah, we have to study, contemplate, and meditate to make this button out of order, sort of, you know, so that they're not working anymore, that we are not getting triggered anymore. Okay, we have 5 more minutes. Is there anything else you want to discuss? Okay, if not, then yeah, just preview what is happening tomorrow. Yeah, so today already Rinpoche entered chapter 4, the Sutrayana path, you know, the path of the course-based approaches. That is like Sutrayana path. And And there, yeah, he said, for practical reasons and time reasons, we skip the Shravakayana path or Pratyeka Buddha path, but directly jump into the Bodhisattva path or Mahayana path. And yeah, there we have this threefold that I put also in the chat now, the threefold outline, which I think is really good. I mean, I think it's really good to maybe memorize that, not like exactly the words, you know, but just like the meaning, you know, because that will help us to understand, I think, the following teachings, you know, that we first look at the first point. We have all the Buddha nature. That is really the basis of everything, you know. That is the ground. So this we will discuss first. And then the second point is like, okay, if we have that Buddha nature, these Buddha qualities or this basic sanity, you know, then how can we we use that and develop bodhicitta? And then third, then sort of the journey will be explained, you know, how we step by step reduce our obscurations on the path and the bhumis, so that we can see Buddha nature more clearly or more completely. So this is sort of the Mahayana journey. So first understand, yes, we have the spiritual potential, which is the Buddha nature. That is the ground of everything. That's, you know, that gives us hope, you know, that's why enlightenment is possible. Buddhahood is possible. Second, then based on that, we can develop bodhicitta on the path. And then, and then the path itself will be explained, you know, what things what obscurations we get rid of on the path and what kind of realizations or qualities we obtain on the path. I'm sure Rinpoche will start with these 3 points tomorrow. Maybe he even asked some of us. Okay, anything? If not, let's conclude. Or maybe our friends from Malaysia, because I don't know, there's always this, he mentioned some Chinese masters yesterday and today. Could you write them in the chat, how they are spelled? There was this Dome Zen or something.
You mean yesterday?
Yeah, yesterday and today he mentioned them.
I can't hear properly because I was outside. Yesterday he mentioned about one is Damo,
Damo.
and the second one is Tangsen.
Could you write them in
I don't know how to write.
Okay.
Damo is from India, right? And then he basically go to China to teach, right?
Yeah.
And then I remember Tuku mentioned he do a lot of meditations, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the other
Tangsen is from China. Tangsen is the one. Tangsen.
Okay.
He have a name, but I've forgotten. He's the one from China. He go to the Naranda University to study.
But it's not Huangshen.
I mean, there are few way you call him. One is Tangsen.
Okay.
But I do not know how to type his name.
Okay.
Han San Zhang in Chinese. Okay. Later I find it. I WhatsApp to you.
Okay, that would be nice for the
All right.
transcript. Thank you. Damao. Okay. Damo. Yeah.
I just added something. What Rinpoche mentioned is Damo.
Mhm.
I Google it and it's saying it's Buddhist. So I Google it and just put it in the
Correct. It's
message,
Bodhidharma.
right?
It's called Bodhidharma.
Okay.
Dharma is Bodhidharma, correct?
Okay, that's the same. Okay. Ah, yeah, of course. Then I've heard of him. Okay. Cool.
你可以找唐僧、唐三藏吗？
哦，等一下啊。
好的。
Sorry, I'm just trying to look for the Tang Sen.
Thank you so much. And sorry, everyone.
Because I also got hard time how to type in Chinese.
玄奘。
Yeah,
你的啊
对，玄奘。
yeah, that sounds familiar. Shunzang. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, 玄奘。Yeah. 唐僧 also same name, same person.
Yeah, okay. Cool. Then we can Google it and everything. Cool. Thank you so much. Yes. Okay, doc. Then let's do the prayers. Thank you so much. And so slow here. By this merit, may all attain omniscience, may it defeat the enemy wrongdoing. What? By this merit, may all attain omniscience, may it defeat the enemy wrongdoing. From the stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death, from the ocean of samsara, may all beings be set free. O precious and sublime Bodhisattva, may it arise in those in whom it has not arisen. May it never decline where it has arisen, but go on increasing further and further. Okay, then see you tomorrow. And yeah, some of us again in person.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you again, Arne.
Thank you.
Arne.
Yeah. Okay.